A few weeks ago, I put up a video reacting to things I'd read in the media accusing British countryside of being racist. Now, I recorded it while I was out on a walk, and basically I was just saying, no, it isn't. You're quite welcome. I didn't go into any depth. I just said, no, I don't think this is true. I didn't give any real opinions, but basically just said, I don't think the British countryside is racist. I don't think the British people in the countryside are racist. Now, since then, this seems to have picked up quite a bit of momentum, and I'm reading things in the media, I'm reading things online, I'm reading things on social media about accusing the British countryside of being racist and the British people of being racist. Now, a lot of this is anecdotal. Now, I don't really go for anecdotal evidence. I mean, I can say anything. I can say I'm like 21 years old and 6'6" and, you know, the next Sean Connery. You only need to look at me to know that that is a load of rubbish. I mean, one of these people, Maxwell Jambe, who takes out what he calls, or he called in 2020, BLM Walking Groups. Now, BLM isn't the preferred nomenclature or even the preferred acronym nowadays, but that's how it was written in the media at the time. And he said they'd gone out and had the photographs taken by an English woman, and she was challenged about this, and it was all very, very anecdotal. If that is true, I absolutely apologise on behalf of all of us, because that is absolutely incredible behaviour, and I don't know anyone in my circle of friends, in any of the acquaintances. I'm nearly 70 years old, so I've got a lot of acquaintances. I've met a lot of people over my long life. Nobody would have ever behave like that. But if we are going to talk about this, about racism in the countryside, I think one couple of things we've got to talk about is the whole demographic. The demographic of people, of ethnic minorities living in this country, and of their view of the countryside in England and in their own country. Now, a lot of people who come from overseas tend to live in communities within cities and within big towns, not near the countryside, because that's where they feel comfortable, they feel isolated in the countryside. You don't need to feel isolated in the countryside. I know people who live out in the countryside from ethnic minorities, and they're perfectly accepted, but I do understand that it is when you're in somewhere strange and unfamiliar, you want to be with your own community because it feels safe. That's absolutely understandable. So this is why a lot of people live in London, Birmingham, Wolverhampton, Manchester, places like that. Up in the northwest where I come from, it's Bradford, Rochdale, places like Bolton, places like that. That's where people go. So they don't visit the countryside as much because this is not part of their culture. And when they get out in the countryside, they realise that it is a very beautiful place, and it's good for your mental health, and it's good for your well-being. And like I say, you are welcome out there in the countryside. Another thing is, people treat countryside differently. In this country, we treat the countryside, apart from farming, but wild countryside, and there's a lot of it in this country, we use it as a recreational facility. We go out walking in it, we go out camping in it, we just go relaxing in it, we go out walking our dogs in it, things like that. It's a kind of European thing. Whereas in other cultures, that's not how it works. They treat the countryside as a resource, somewhere to get food from. If it's not on arable land or dairy land or something like that, then they go out into nature to pick the fruits of nature and things like that. It's not somewhere for recreation, it's for food. That's fine. There's nothing right and nothing wrong with either of those. That's just how cultures work. So people who come across here don't tend to see it like that. And we can't push our ideas onto other people from other countries. That's just absolutely mental to think that we would even think of doing that. We love people to integrate and to share our culture and enjoy it, but you're not going to get into somebody's face and tell them you must do this and you must do that. And if you do, then I've not got a lot of time for you. So in essence, I think it is probably a cultural thing. We've got this trend at the moment. There are actually 2 universities who have now got groups, race hate in the countryside or something like that. One, I think it's Leicester, has got a group looking into racism in the countryside. I think somewhere like Oxford or somewhere like that has recruited about 40 people of ethnic minorities to go out in the countryside and look for racism. If you're going to go out there and look for racism, you're going to find it. If you go out and look for something, you're going to find it. If I went out to the front door here now, man with a bald head, I could go and look in one of the first shop windows. It would probably have a picture of some young person with a full head of hair, looking great, pushing beauty products, something like that. That's baldest. That's against me. That's ageist. You go into the supermarket and there's advertising pears. That's against some ladies who have a generally accepted body shape. You're going to find discrimination. If you go looking for it, you're going to find it in absolutely everything. So what we're going to do now, we're going to get these people going out into the countryside, coming back and saying, yes, it's racism, racist. And they're going to say, this racist because this. And it will be publicly accepted, yes, the countryside is racist. And we, or the community, will accept that, and it will. It's another stick to beat us with. And the countryside is not racist. You are going to find racism if you go looking for it. It's basically a cultural thing. If you want to go out in the countryside, if people do, if somebody does abuse you or aren't polite to you while you're out in the countryside, then I apologise. And if I was there and I heard it, I would tear them a fresh arsehole, because that is completely unacceptable. You go out in the countryside, meet people of all ethnicities and heights and weights and colours and whatever in the countryside. You just interact with them. And it's great. And there should be more of it. So yes, the racism is, the countryside is racist, but it's only racist because the people who are going to go out there now and look for it are going to find it. So it is in their definition racist. I don't think it is. Those are my views on the subject. I think it's a cultural thing. I think that people feel threatened, people who come over here and then live in conurbations and live in towns and cities and not in the countryside, feel threatened by it. I think that is probably just because of it's unfamiliar. We all feel like that until you get a new job. It's horrible until you get used to it. You feel awkward until you get used to it. And then it's absolutely fine. There were there are a group of women who call themselves Kinder in Colour, which I actually find quite offensive myself, because what they're saying is Kinder in Colour. Go back on my videos, you'll find a video about the mass trespass on Kinder Scout in the Peak District, which was led by a bloke called Benny Rothman. He was only a kid then, which led to the opening up of the countryside and giving us all access to the countryside. Not just me, but everyone else. They call themselves Kinder in Colour. No. You don't need to go out there and reclaim the countryside. It's not for anybody to claim. It's there for all of us. I do think there are people, and there are a lot of young academics probably, mostly, who are going to go out there and find racism wherever it is. You're race grifters. You are race grifters. For the most part, you're race grifters. You're probably well-intentioned to begin with, but you are looking for racism, and you are going to find it, because that is your raison d'etre. That's your only reason for being here, is to play the victim and to make me the oppressor. Get out in the countryside. Enjoy the countryside. I don't give a toss who you are, where you come from. And there you go.